I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. We're going to get right into it. And a little background story. Josh and I, many moons ago, you could say, worked together at Royal Bank of Canada. We're
Yeah.
bankers, developed a friendship, and here we are now in our respective careers talking about what makes us happy and what can make it happy for others. So you take health and physical wellness very seriously, as you should, as do I. Now, what inspired you to pursue a career in fitness, wellness, and better health?
Nutrition. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It kind of just started off as something that I enjoy doing. It was a hobby, right? Started off young playing sports, and
Nice.
I did dance for about 7 years. I was a hip hop dancer. I danced with Chai and Folklorama. I actually danced with the Israeli Pavilion for a number of years. And just over the course of time, I started falling in love with everything that was related to not only physical activity, but nutrition in itself, and really taking care of your internal body, but also mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, like everything that's related to it. And I just built a passion for helping people, and now it's something that really makes me not only happy, but it motivates me to be a better individual as well, is to help other people.
Absolutely. Now, tell us a little bit about when you started sports. Since it's intriguing, the transitions you made, and we'll go into more detail, but tell
Yeah,
us
for
about
sure.
the sports you tried and dance as well, because I'm sure we've had the conversation that my sister
Yeah.
teaches professor of dance in U of A in Edmonton and Grant McEwen. So how did you correlate dance and sports? How did they work?
Well, I was never great at sports when I was a kid. I was never that, captain of the football team. I was never, the best at basketball, whatever it was. But I always played soccer. I loved just, doing whatever I could do. I played football. I played hockey. I was never the best athlete. And then something that I know you're actually passionate about as well, is I became very fond of martial arts and Taekwondo. And I know you're huge into jiu-jitsu as well, and that really kind of steered me in the direction of, indomitable spirit, and showing respect to your elders, and just the proper way of, moving forward as a young adult transitioning into adulthood. And it slowly just progressed from there into, I was always a dancer as a kid, and I wanted to switch it up after doing Taekwondo for so long. And I started doing dance, and slowly kind of transitioned into bodybuilding, like just from one thing to another. And I try not to um, focus too hard on where I was going, and I just kind of let things pull me in the direction that it was pulling me in. And and I'll be honest, man, I'm so fortunate that I kind of just let it do its own thing, because it's crazy how the world will, pull you in a direction, and then you find out like it's exactly what you wanted to do the entire time. So
That's it. Absolutely. On all levels. That's well said. Now, your first competition, what were you
yeah.
feeling that day, and what made the experience special?
Um, Honestly, tons of nerves. So, if anybody says they're not feeling it, yeah, well, um, um, tons of nerves. If anyone says that they don't feel anything backstage, it's a lie. But it was
Yeah.
excitement, and just it was just being around all these people that have worked so hard for the last 3 months or 4 months or however long they've been preparing for, and we all have gone through the same experience. It might have been a little bit different depending on your social experiences and your work and your relationships with your family, but we all ended up in the same spot with the same goal to step on stage and present our hard work. And it was a great feeling being surrounded by all these people that share the same passion as you and work just as hard as you to be. It was just a beautiful thing, and I think that's kind of what made me fall in love with it, was being around these people that were so driven and so motivated and so willing to be better. And it just kind of swallowed me in, and I'm so happy that it did.
And you dedicated the performance to your grandmother, obviously very close with her.
Yeah.
How did that feel? In regards to she was to be at the show if she was, and how did the outcome make you feel in general?
Um, I'll be very honest. That was a very difficult time, not only for me, but for my family. Because my grandma actually had passed away about 3 weeks before my show. And for anybody that's competed before, they know being depleted, it's already a very weird state to be in. Um, it's hard to describe what depletion feels like, but sleep doesn't make you feel better. It's not like you can just sleep it off. It's not like you can just go sit in the sun and you feel better. Um, and it was devastating. Like there's no words really to say what that had done to my family at that time. But my bubby was very sick for a long time around that. The last 10 years of her life, she was very, very sick. And, my family started flying in, and it was this very big situation that was happening. And I'll be honest, I completely fell off track. It was very difficult to maintain that focus and that concentration and that killer instinct that we all talk about, because it really gives you perspective of what's important at that time. And to be honest, doing a bodybuilding show was not important. But I remember, I think I took 2 or 3 days after her funeral just to, be on my own. And, I realized that she said, you know what, I'm going to be there. You're going to win this show. And I said, screw it. I've done this work so far. I know she's thinking about me. I don't know where she was at the time, but I knew somehow she knew what was going to happen. And I gave it everything I had for the last 3 weeks. And when they said my name for first place, it was all about her. It was that simple. I knew my dad was thinking about it. I knew my family was thinking about it. And after I got that first place, it was completely about her at that time. Yeah.
Amazing. I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm glad we can go into detail about what kept you from being on edge, just in life in general. As you say, it wasn't about the competition per se, but just what prevented you from going, in the wrong direction, both personally and professionally, and you conquered that, and it speaks to character, Josh, and that's amazing. Now, there's also, you're welcome, Ian Burchell. You spoke of him on social media. What kind of inspiration was he, and what exactly was his inspiration for you?
So he was my first coach that I ever worked with, right? He's the owner of House of Champions, and he had brought me in under his wing, and he showed me the ropes of what it's like to be a bodybuilder and what it's like to really progress, and what the lifestyle was like, and how it was. And he was actually a huge support at that time, especially when my grandmother passed away. He asked if he could come to the funeral. He wanted to be there to support me and show that, it was a relationship more than just you're my client, I'm your coach. And that really spoke wonders for me, right? Hey, how's it going, Steve? And it was something that really spoke to me, because that meant a lot to me. I knew he didn't have to take the time to come and show his respect, but he made it very, very clear that it was important to him, and he made sure that how I was feeling was the top of his priority, and that was the most important thing to me at that time, as well as my family.
And you're still in contact with him now, yes?
Yeah, we don't work together anymore, but yeah, we do communicate every once in a while. Yeah. Hi, Lonnie.
Nice. That's very intriguing in the sense of what he offered to you on a training standpoint, but then taking, if this makes sense, what you did with training and apply it to real life, because it's this type of transition, sacrifices that you have to make, albeit with time and your body, but mentally, physically, it's going to take its impact. So I'm glad you have something like that's in your life and continually in your life, especially in that kind of role. So
and I think that's always important to have, right? You need to have that mentor, and you need to have someone to steer you in the right direction, especially during times of hardship or whatever it is. That's when you really need somebody to be like, you know what, you're doing the right thing, or what, maybe take a step back and really reevaluate what's going on here. And that's also a reason why I love coaching, is because I want to be that support to someone else as well. And, I've been through so many experiences that, at a young age, that have really kind of shaped me to who I am today. And I think that can really help me with helping others through those experiences as well.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to go into more detail at that in a little bit. With post-COVID, when that does happen, whenever that is, what do competitions look like for you at that point?
We're not too sure right now. It's something that a lot of us are still kind of curious about, and it's very up in the air, and it's obviously going to depend on provinces. But we are thinking, backstage will be very different. So
Yeah.
there's, female and male competitions, right? So the males are completely separate from the females. So we do think that backstage will be very more specific and very more strict on how things can happen. So normally you could have, the females and the males backstage, but now we're pretty sure it's going to be just males at one time and females at one time, as well as we're not too sure if there will be an audience available. We're not too sure if it's just going to be more photography and more coaches, as well as we don't know if they're going to ask us to wear masks as of right now. So it's very much so up in the air, and we're not too sure, but we're, as long as some of us can step on stage and still do what we love to do, that's all that matters, right?
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on, just thinking outside the box here with this one, what it would be like, let's say hypothetically, if there was no audience and you were competing? How do you feel that would be?
I'm not too sure. I was thinking about that because a lot of us love to present our hard work in front of a crowd, right? It's the same thing as you doing a performance for your music or you're singing in front of people. It's
Right.
that fire that you get once you're standing in front of this audience and the lights hit you and you're like, it's just the moment. So I'm not too sure, to be honest. I've been thinking about that, and it's something I'm very curious about. But I would do it just because I love it regardless, but obviously I would love my family and my friends to be able to watch me do what I love to do anyways. So.
Right. Excellent. Now, how is networking now, before, when you first started? How has it evolved? Like, what is the networking in the bodybuilding world like?
I think right now it's very competitive. So right now it's very difficult because a lot of people have been let go from their jobs. A lot of people have been laid off. So you could have had an online coach that was also a personal trainer. So now they're working from home. That's putting out regular content. So marketing is very competitive right now for anybody that's in the fitness industry or anyone that follows fitness influencers. Content is coming out quite regularly from everybody. So it makes it very difficult to be that one individual that somebody wants to come to you and say, hey, I'm very interested in working with you. So I think it's about being, personable, being, very open, making sure that you have a personable attitude. So somebody, if they have a question or they're not sure of something, they feel comfortable with coming to you. But it is very competitive right now. It's a competitive market, that's for sure.
How was it when you first started?
Same thing, but less. I think people were more solidified in where they were, and people were very comfortable. I'll say people were complacent at the time. People had been doing the same thing for the last, 5-10 years. It was working for them. They had their client basis. They didn't feel the need to push so hard. And then COVID happened, and now people are starting to reevaluate, how they have to go about things. Everybody's doing it. I even talked to a friend of mine who teaches Taekwondo at a dojo, and they're trying to figure out just how it's working with after school activities and programs, because things are so different now with capacity and, can kids really, like, how do you have 20-30 kids in a dojo all day and not have them, interact with each other and feel bad about doing so? So,
and with physical distancing as well, right? Because
absolutely.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say there are those challenges, and it's just easier said than done, but it's just about going with the flow and seeing what does work for the betterment of everybody. So now, with that being said, what are your daily routines like? Let's just say before this all happened and continue into the present day. What is the daily workout routine? For those who don't know, I see it on your social media, but your day starts at like 5:27, 5:20 in the morning, right? So.
Yeah. So before the whole COVID thing, we weren't going to the gym that early in the morning. So we would wake up around, let's say, 7:30 in the morning. We would have breakfast. I would take my girlfriend to work. Then I would go to work. I would pick her up, and then we would go to the gym. And that would be, basically our day, meal prep, on the weekends or in the middle of the week, whatever it may be. But things have changed quite a bit since then. We can definitely say that for sure. So with the way that gyms are working right now, and me also working as a full-time sales executive, it's very difficult for me to go to the gym after a full day with the amount of people that are going to the gyms between that, like 5:30 and 9 o'clock, because extravagant how many people are going. So we thought it made the most sense to just get it done first thing in the morning. So my girlfriend and I wake up at about 5 o'clock in the morning every day. We
Yeah.
don't change it on the days that we rest because we want to stay consistent with it. So
Yeah.
why sleep in a couple extra hours later on the day that you rest? If you want to maintain something, just keep it consistent. So we wake up at about 5 o'clock. We're out of the house at 5:30. We're at the gym for about 5:50. We train between 6 and 7:30 in the morning. I get home, I eat my breakfast, I go to work from 9 to 5. And then I'll come home and I spend at least 20, 30 minutes on the balance beam for some other reasons that we can get into as well. And then, I try and relax for a little bit in the day if I have some time to put my feet up and relax. And then I try and read a book or something, to help me go to sleep a little bit before bed and do it all over the next day.
What time's bedtime around your household?
Around my household or around us is a little different because I still live with my family, right? So my girlfriend and I, we're sleeping, we're in bed at 9:30. Like we're 9 o'clock, we are ready to go to sleep, and we're out at 10 o'clock. And my family a little bit later, of course, because if they're not getting up at 5, there's no reason to go to sleep at 9. But yeah, we're done at 9 o'clock for sure.
Now, what carries over from your daily routine into what you apply with clientele, or even friends that ask, Josh, I want to try a new workout routine and try a new health and so on and so forth.
So what do you mean by that exactly? Like, how does it carry over?
Yeah, like how do your habits carry over to clientele when it comes to a routine and staying with that routine, like how you guys?
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you, creating those daily habits is really what's going to make you consistent with anything, right? Motivation, it'll come when you start to see those initial changes that you have. You lose 5 pounds, you're motivated, right? You go to the gym, you lift 5 or 10 extra pounds on your squat or your leg press, you're motivated and it's super exciting. But that's not going to be consistent for months and months and years and years. That eventually will change and that motivation will start to trickle away. But the habits are what keep you doing everything day after day after day, and that's what keeps you progressing because you do it every day, and it's not something that you have to question. So it really does, trickle into my clients because I'm very precise with my day routine, which makes me very precise with when I check in with my clients and when I, send in my check-ins. So everything is all about habits, right? So with me just being on a regular schedule, it allows me to be on a regular schedule with my clients as well. So they'll get the same check-in on, let's say Sunday's check-in day, they'll have a check-in before I go to the gym at 5 in the morning. So they never, like, unless they're waking up at 4:30, they'll have it, first thing in the morning. And same thing with, programs. It's always at the top of my list to do something for my clients. And that's what inspires me to keep doing it more and more.
That's amazing, and that's the right mindset. Obviously, you know that, but it's great to hear that it's something that's adaptable, depending on who you're working with. Does that make sense? And
Yeah, absolutely.
Helping them to understand that. Now, here's one for you that I was thinking the other day when I was doing research on our podcast today. How is training in COVID created new exercises for training? Because I've seen you do some very unique new exercises during this time period.
It's great because you really need to figure out what, everyone has different things at home, right? And some people don't have the availability or the finances to go out and buy so-and-so equipment from a gym store. So you have to work with what you have. And, it's not something, like I said, if you don't have the financial aid support at this time, you can't go out and, just buy the equipment. So it really makes things interesting, right? You find things around the house that you can use as weight, like even using a cooler you could use as a shoulder press, or even using a luggage case. You could use it for squats, and it really helps you think outside of the box. And it's made things a little bit interesting, right? Because you look around the house and you're like, what can I use as a dumbbell, or what can I use as a, whatever it might be. So it makes things fun, and it was actually enjoyable to not do the same 6-7 exercises at the gym and kind of mix things up a bit.
And how are the exercises carrying over? Oh yeah, I was. That's okay. I was. Of those exercises have carried over, something that you're just going to continue to do even though now things are somewhat back to normal for you with training?
Well, the thing that I've noticed actually is it's helped me connect to my muscles in a certain light, if that makes sense. Um, because it's helped me create a better connection with different movements, because you have to use things a little bit differently and you have to use your torque a little bit differently. So it's actually helped me connect to certain body parts that might have been a little bit more difficult for me to do in the gym. For example, my hamstrings. I actually found out a great exercise at home was just a resistance band, and you would tie it to, something stationary, and you would
Okay.
use that as almost a leg extension for your hamstring. But that was it was super helpful in helping me activate my hamstring, and I feel like it's helped me activate it better since quarantine. So something like that would still continue to do, and thanks to my girlfriend for showing me. But it's the things like that that really are, you wouldn't think that they would help, but it's huge. Even something that I'm just thinking of now is I have a huge issue with my shoulder.
Okay.
And the huge benefit that I had with quarantine and isolation is I've had the most time to actually work on my physiotherapy. And it's helped me immensely, because I know a lot of people, myself included, I'm sure you've done this as well, is we love to make excuses for why we don't have time to do things that we know we need to do. Example, physiotherapy. So I would always be told to do so-and-so exercises. This is going to help you fix it. I would go to the gym, I would do my basic workout, and at the end of my workout, I'll always be like, I don't got time for this. I got to go home, I got to shower, I got to eat, and I got to get ready. I'll do it
Yeah.
tomorrow. And I would
Right.
always do that. But, when you're at home and when you're in isolation,
Mhm.
you got no excuses. You can't say that you got something to do. We had nothing to do. So I spent the most amount of time that I have ever spent doing physiotherapy on myself. And I can say without a doubt that my body is better now because of COVID and because of how I decided to treat my body during isolation and quarantine.
Wow. And that actually inadvertently answered my next question, because I was going to say, which is fine, that's great. If there's an extremely difficult injury that you've overcome, and you've just mentioned it with your shoulder,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
was it through working out, or was it just
Um,
something else?
I'll be honest, we're not too sure. We actually think it's genetic related, because it's kind of something related to the left side of my body, and it's been an issue that I've been going on for many years, and it's always it's one of the reasons why I do the balance beam actually, is because we're trying to create new neural pathways with the left side of my body. And I know that might sound a little bit weird and a little bit maybe extreme for some people, but none of us are born even left to right. Some of us are freaks of nature and we're completely symmetric from our left to our right, and our right side is this exact same strength as the left. But for whatever reason, my left side is just a little bit different than my right, and things don't line up as well. So it makes things like any type of compound movement, such as squats or deadlifts, it makes it difficult. Because if you think about a building, if one side of the building is doing 75% of the work,
Yeah.
not only is that side going to be overstressed, but the other side is going to be weaker as well. So it really makes you rethink how you have to do things, and that's been a challenge in itself. But it's all about daily progress and just making things better than the day before.
What about kinesiology? How has that played into, well, what you do, and just a study of kinesiology, even on your own?
Oh, immensely, because like, that's what bodybuilding is about. Is actually having a connection to mind muscle, is how we say it. But it's also about knowing where everything is on your body, right? So if you don't know the human body, it's going to make things a little bit difficult for you to be able to do a movement and target what you want to target. So that's a huge benefit, is just knowing how the body works, knowing which muscles are going to control which movements. But also something that my coach's coach is huge on, is eliminating names with movements, because it's not really the name of the exercise that's important, it's the movement and the muscle that you're trying to activate. So it doesn't matter if you're doing a shoulder press, if you're activating a completely different muscle, it's no benefit to you. But it's all really about what's the purpose of what you're doing, like what's the intent of lifting this weight in this direction or doing this movement in this movement. So it's huge. It's immensely huge in what we do.
And what you used to get through and persevere during this injury, and just realize that it's something that will come to pass sooner or later. But what's kept you on the up and ups about, hey, this is something that's going to be resolved, but I guess have to, deal with
I'll
it
be
now.
honest, and this might not sound like the most positive, but I don't know if it will get resolved. It
Okay.
may be something that I have to deal with the rest of my life. And I'm fully aware of that. I've come to the conclusion that, it might be a challenge for me just to become a pro bodybuilder because of this. But this might sound a little twisted as well. I love
Huh?
it. I mean, it makes me the underdog. It makes me work harder. It makes me be more meticulous. It makes me be more specific with, how I do my nutrition, and it makes me work and just be that much more of a, I hate to say it, but perfectionist with everything I do. And you'll see somebody that's given the golden ticket. They're born with the best genetics, and
Mhm.
they barely have to work hard to get the results that some people would die for. And
Right.
I look at it as a challenge, and I'm accepting it with open arms. And I know that might sound a little twisted and maybe a little nuts, but
Mhm.
um, I do have days where it's frustrating. My girlfriend can definitely, speak on that. Where I'll have days where I've always wanted to be that guy bench pressing 4 plates, right? You see the guys in the gym at a young age doing, 405 for 5 reps. You're like, holy crap, that guy's strong. And I've
Mhm.
never been good at bench press because of my shoulder. And I kind of just,
Right.
you realize the cards that you're dealt, and you can't dwell on things. It's the one thing that I can say from my experiences is feeling bad for yourself is the biggest waste of time that anybody can have. And I'm all for it, and that's something we can get into more. Sorry?
Yeah. In life in general, it's the
Yeah.
worst ever. Right. So.
It's the biggest waste of your time, and we can go into. I had quite a few surgeries when I was younger that made me very hard on myself, and I did become depressed, but I also felt very sorry for myself. And I'll be honest with you, and this is going to come back to mindset as well, but I wasted, I would say, 2 years of my life just feeling bad for myself, and it got me nowhere. It made me, my body wasn't progressing, my brain wasn't progressing, my relationships weren't progressing with my family or my friends. I was in a complete standstill, and it wasn't because of, anything that the world did to me. It was literally how my brain was analyzing everything that I had gone through,
Right.
and it was the biggest waste of time that I've ever spent, was feeling bad for myself when I could have just stood up, said, you know what, this isn't going to change. You need to make the best out of what you have. Go out and fix it. And it took me a long time. I'm not going to lie. It's not like I just kind of popped up here. But after that surgery, I think it was around a year before my first show was my last surgery. And from that time until now, I've just been grinding as hard as I can. And that's, if there's anything that anybody can take away from this podcast, it's feeling sorry for yourself. It's a waste of time. You just got to make the best of it. And I know sometimes that's hard. I get it, but it's just, you got to move on sometimes.
Well said, my friend. That's amazing, and it's amazing for the audience, collectively yours, mine, everyone who's watching, to hear that, because I think there's the impression that people are under the auspices that bodybuilders don't go through physical and mental strain.
Mhm.
Not about looking the best; it's about what it takes to make yourself feel at your best, if that makes sense. It
Absolutely.
just to be you happen to be on a stage with other competitors, but really you're competing with yourself and what you can do best for yourself. And it goes back to one not feeling sorry for themselves and seeking that help in whatever capacity it is that makes them feel
Mhm.
better. It could be martial arts, it could be bodybuilding, it could be
Singing, musician, anything.
absolutely, and just I applaud you for going into detail about that and your personal experiences. I'm not surprised you did, but that's another reason why you're on the show, because candid, honest information and advice given, and that's exactly what you've been doing. So, what's meal prep like, and how do you keep it? How do you keep variety in meal prep?
It's Hi, Brendan. I mean, it depends. That's a very individualized question. because for me, like I said, it depends. I don't mind if I enjoy the foods I'm eating. Eating the same things for a couple weeks on end, it's not a big deal to me. I don't mind eating oats with almond butter and blueberries because I love it. I could eat that every day. I don't mind having cucumbers and chicken and rice because I actually enjoy it. And I don't necessarily eat for taste at the moment, but I do enjoy the taste of it. For people that do want to have more of a variety, that's where you try to create, more options and where you try to create more of a less restrictive diet. But for me, meal prep's very easy. Most of my protein is coming from chicken, egg whites, a little bit of a protein shake at the moment, but obviously getting your protein from whole nutritious foods are the most important. But it's pretty basic for us. We meal prep one day on Sunday, and we try and do it in the middle of the week as well on Wednesday. It only takes about 2 hours, and we make the meals for the week, and then we'll remake 2 or 3 meals for the following days. And as long as you prepare it, and as long as you set a time to do it, every week or every 2 weeks, it's impossible to screw up, and it's very simple.
How do you stay not being hungry? Does that make sense? Like, what if meal preps, this is going to be what this and that?
Well, it
How do
depends. You can
yeah,
ask Tyler. I know Tyler gets hungry. It's out. It depends, man. Because it depends if you're in it depends if you're in a positive energy balance or if you're in a negative energy balance, right? So if you're trying to lose weight, you have to have less energy coming in from food. So the only way to do that is if you're in a deficit, you're going to get hungry. It's impossible to be in a deficit and not get that hunger a slight amount. But there are definitely ways of doing it, right? So you can volumize food where you can take very low calorie, ingredients, and you can make it to be a ton of volume. For example, if you take egg whites and you mix it with oats, none of that is high in calories, but if you cook it properly, it can be a huge bowl of food. By the time you're done eating that, you are stuffed, but you only ate 200 or 300 calories. And that will keep you full for 2 or 3 hours. And then by the time you have your next meal, as long as it's something that is going to keep you full and that is going to maintain, not being hungry. Also, high protein diets do keep you satiated longer. So definitely having high amounts of protein in your diet will make you feel full for longer. Also fiber. A lot of people don't have a lot of fiber in their diet, and that's, it's this big issue actually. But fiber is a huge benefit because it's going to help with digestion and it's going to help you keep full. So as long as you're, incorporating these things, water as well. That's something I wanted to talk to you about because I know a lot of what I do might not be directed towards everybody, but hydration everybody can keep on top of.
right.
And I know for a fact a lot of people do not drink enough water. And that's a huge thing. If you're drinking water throughout the day, most of the time you're not going to be too hungry to eat something you're not supposed to because you're drinking your water that you're supposed to. So it can all be managed as long as you're doing the right things to manage your hunger or to manage whatever feelings you're feeling.
What foods do you remember that you didn't like as a kid that now are just delicious?
That I didn't like as a kid?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you for a fact I hate olives. I've never been an olive fan. Those are the worst in the world. I can't. Besides that, there's not a lot of foods I don't like, Aaron. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't know if you're a fan of olives, but they're terrible. I can't do it.
That was a great reaction. Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, a lot of the foods that I eat now, I never used to eat. So, like, I was never eating oats as a kid. I was never eating egg whites. I can't even remember the foods that I was eating when I was growing up as 16, 17. But I do know I ate a ton of crap, like a ton of fast food, a ton of pizza, and my digestion was terrible as a kid. Like that I remember for a fact. I remember always having an upset stomach. I remember just eating things that I thought were convenient because they were easy to get. And just things that everybody else was eating, right? You see everyone else get A&W and McDonald's, so you start to eat it. But you don't actually realize at that age what you're doing to your body. And, over the time, I just started eating the foods that I eat now. And I can't even think about eating the things I used to eat because I love what I eat now.
Nice. Very well said. No, that's That's quite the transition. There's that word again. Is because you do remember what you were eating when you were younger and how it impacted your body, and now those situations and symptoms have dissipated and not part of the equation, and you're enjoying the best of the best. So sleep, we were talking about this a few minutes ago. It's extremely important, of course, for all of us, regardless of what we do as a career, just in life in general. Now, with training, how is there a balance, or how do you create a balance, I should say, with sleep training?
It's funny because this is something I wrote down. I really wanted to talk about sleep. Because sleep is probably the most important thing with everybody, regardless of what your goal is. I don't care if you're trying to gain muscle mass. I don't care if you're trying to lose body fat. I don't care if you're trying to feel more energy. I don't care if you're trying to be more athletic. It's all going to come around to your sleep. So sleep is huge. If you think you can out-train poor sleep, try going to the gym on 2 hours of sleep. It's going to be the worst experience of your life, right? But it's something that is very critical, and it's very important to have a good, healthy sleep pattern. I know they recommend trying to get between about that 6 and 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep. But it's difficult to do that, right? Not all of us have the ability to sleep for that long, depending on, our family situations and our household situations. But it's extremely important. Some things that I actually wrote down is, this is something that I have a huge challenge with, but they say turn off any type of monitor 2 hours prior. So your TV, your phone, any type of desktop. Keeping the room dark is a huge benefit, as well as keeping your room temperature below 70 degrees. But it's so important. I don't even know how I can stress this, but I would say sleep and hydration are two of the most important things for everybody. I don't care. Like I said, you could be trying to gain weight, lose weight. Maybe you just want to have a good performance as a musician the next day. Sleep is going to be the one thing that is going to help you feel your best, and that it's so important.
Yes. Train Fit Motive, run by Shane Baskin. Shout out to Shane Baskin. And you are a trainer. For those who aren't familiar with Train Fit Motive, just some details and how I interpreted and through my research for this podcast with Josh, as well as about Train Fit Motive. To me, they are a state-of-the-art, forward-thinking concept and approach to fitness, wellness, and healthy eating. Those are my words. That's what I took from what you guys do there. Now, how did you get involved?
It was weird, actually. So I've known Shane for a number of years. I've known him before I was just going to the gym, just being a normal gym boy. And, over the course of time, he saw me working hard, and he saw me getting into bodybuilding. And then I started getting my nutrition certificate, and I made it very clear to him, this is something I want to pursue. I want to do long term, and this is something that I want to become a coach with. And at the time, I don't think he was looking for any coaches. And, the way things turned out, he saw me doing everything I could to get to where I needed to be. And he had approached me and he said, if this is something that, you're really willing to give 110% on, I would be interested in signing you up. And we just stayed in contact ever since. And I got my nutrition certificate and became a Train Fit Motive online coach.
That's amazing. And how long has that been now since you've been with a part of that organization?
It's a little bit before COVID. So I'll be honest, it was kind of a poor time to start just because, I don't have to, go into detail, but obviously things were a little bit flipped on their head. So it's been about, I think, 5 to 6 months. And, things have been great. Just the relationship that we have and the communication that we have and, how we work together, myself, my girlfriend, and Shane, it's really we are only 3 people, but we are 3 very passionate people about helping others. And that I think that shows in our work, and it shows how we communicate with our clients, and it shows the results in our clients. And, it's a team that really strives on teamwork and, just, taking care of your body and being the best that you can every day.
Wow. Yes. Well, I appreciate the detail. We're going to go into a bit more about teamwork shortly. You're also a sales executive, as I know. So being a sales executive and the business acumen that's required with that and dealing with clientele, how does that correlate with dealing with clientele on the fitness training side of things. Is there any different, or is it the same type of approach?
It's very different, but it's actually helped me a lot. So I know this is something that you can probably relate to as well with RBC. But just the amount of people that we talk to and the way that we've learned to communicate with people and to speak politely has helped immensely. Also, as a sales rep, it's vital that you are good at following up with your clients and making sure that they're taken care of and making sure that previous orders are going smoothly. Do you need anything moving forward? Making sure that they are aware that you are there for them. So that in itself has been probably the biggest benefit from being a sales executive with Train Fit Motive, and not to associate being a sales rep with coaching, because I don't put them together at all. But it's very important that your clients, or future clients, know that you are approachable, that you're always there for them, that you're somebody that they can speak to. And that's something that I take pride in with my sales work, is that I'm very approachable. My clients can call me, or my customers can call me at any time. I respond very quickly if there's ever an issue with anything. I'm on the ball as soon as I can, and I think that's really carried over to coaching, because I think it's just as important in the same aspect.
That's fantastic. Now, I've been coining the phrase for quite some time: health is wealth. Health is wealth, and frequently, and with just cause. And just some thoughts and where I come from with that is, it's a philosophy I believe that, and I quote, it's a philosophy I believe that not only presents a constant reminder in how imperative we treat ourselves mentally and physically on a day-to-day basis. What does health is wealth mean to you?
Well, it's interesting. I want to start with something, because I remember you bringing this up to me, and I saw a post. I can't remember if it was a couple weeks ago, but it was about Steve Jobs. And I know Steve Jobs is so well known for so many things, but he created multi-billion-dollar corporation, right? Billions and billions of dollars, and the guy was probably one of the wealthiest. I don't know where he was in the Forbes 100, but one of the wealthiest men in the world, right? And I remember reading that when he was on his deathbed, I believe he had cancer at the time, he was talking about how, I can't remember exactly what the quote said, but I believe it was, you can pay someone to drive a car for you, but you can't pay someone to carry sickness for you. Yep. And it just kind of hit me. I was like, wow, like this guy spent his entire life creating what he thought was wealth, which was pure money, which was a dollar. And, he could have bought the nicest house, the nicest car, the nicest clothes. He could have bought an island with everything he had. But at the end of his life, he said it meant nothing to him. That wealth was absolutely useless to him. And that kind of spoke to me. And it's like, what is important, right? So that, again, we come back to everything being so individualized, and everything is very personal. And, and I think that's what fitness and nutrition is about. It's very personal to everyone. But, everyone associates wealth differently, right? You might associate wealth with relationships. I might associate wealth with money. My girlfriend might associate wealth with health. And that's why it's such an individual thing. But I really do think your health is it's the most important thing we have. We only have one body. You do have to stick in your body. You don't get a new one when 2021 happens. You don't get it traded in for a new year, new model, get a maintenance change. It's not like a new car, right? So you've only got one body. Why treat it like a secondary option? Yeah. It's the most important thing we have, right? And then depending what you define as wealth, so say it's your family. Well, if you want to be around for your family, you have to be healthy. So if you're not a healthy individual, then how is family important to you? Because you might not be here for your family. So it all comes back to, what is important to you? What is wealth to you? So I really do think, if family is important to you, then your health is important, because you need to be around for your family. And, if that's important to you, then, and I'm not saying you need to eat, 6 meals a day and eat chicken and rice for breakfast, and you need to do 40 minutes of cardio every day and go to the gym and do this. But, not having those 4 or 5 beers, and not having the things that aren't going to help you stay healthy and be around for, your kid's graduation. I do think those are things that, some of us need to reevaluate and be like, is this really what I need to be doing right now?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, teamwork. We were touching base with teamwork and what that
Yeah.
means to you. Of course, it means guidance, understanding,
Yeah.
reliability in each other.
Yeah.
Now, how has that shaped you personally and professionally?
Oh wow, that's a loaded question there. Um, Man, teamwork is everything. So we'll talk about it on a professional level.
Sure.
So let's look at my sales career right now. So something I've never done, I've worked multiple sales jobs. This sales job that I have right now, we have a group commission. Never had that before. So we have multiple sales reps. We have three here in Winnipeg and we have two in the States. And our commission is shared. So I can do amazing 1 month. If my team doesn't do well, we're not going to do well as a team. So that's really taught me on how important it is to, work together as a team to create, the best sales that you can. So specifically in sales, teamwork is everything, at least with my company, right? Um, and I think it's the same thing with, competitors. I think it's the same thing with lifestyle, is you do need that support system when, you might be having a tough day or you might be having a tough, whatever it might be. Yeah, you need your friends, but you need a team behind you to say, you got this. Like you can still keep going. And also, even with knowledge, I've been trying to read new books, every couple of days and try to get new knowledge here, new knowledge there. And the thing that I love about, people that are passionate about fitness and nutrition is we share our knowledge. And that is a teamwork. That is a group effort. If everybody just kept the important knowledge that we had about nutrition and about, physical activity and about, torque and all of these things, none of us would be progressing the way that we are today. But with all of us sharing the knowledge that we have, we all do so much better. So, man, it's all about teamwork. It's all about working together. The thing that I don't like is I don't really think teams exist. So not teamwork, but the idea of a team. Um,
Okay.
I think we're all trying to get to that same end goal. Say we're competing. Yeah, there's competition. We're all up against each other, but we're all doing it together. We're all doing it together, right? You're standing on stage beside me. I'm standing on stage beside you. You know, yeah, there's camaraderie, and yeah, you're on a different team as me, but teams don't exist. We're all here to be the best us. We're all here to present us. And that's what's the most important thing about what we do is about working together and not no not trying to tear each other down because there's too much of that going on. Like why do it?
There is everywhere, and just from in person to on social media. So it's the positivity is, as always, is the most important way to approach both ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world, and how we present ourselves and how others present themselves to us as well. There's got to be that balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how about personally?
Personally, teamwork. Oh, I mean, if you want to get honest, me and my girlfriend are probably the strongest team I've ever had.
Awesome.
And that I think that kind of speaks for itself. It's kind of hard to put in words, but I do think having a strong relationship with your partner is huge. And I think I'm in the best spot I've ever been today because of the teamwork that her and I have. And yeah, I think teamwork is everything. So especially in relationships, especially in friendship and teams, whatever it is, it's huge for sure.
Amazing. What do you do
Yeah.
for downtime?
Downtime. I don't know how much I have. Um, Honestly, when I'm done for the day, like if I'm really, really done, I'm completely content with laying in bed with my girlfriend. And, recently this is something very new for me, but I've tried to read before I go to sleep every night. Just not only for my own knowledge, but for my own way of helping myself go to sleep. It's a great way to calm down the brain. And, you know, I don't do a lot of things in my spare time, between my two jobs and, having a girlfriend and competing. Um, just putting my feet up, trying to turn my brain off for a little bit, trying to not get too overwhelmed with everything going on. It's nice to have a little bit of a distraction, but that's probably my biggest struggle right now is having that good work life balance.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make up for some lost time that I had, those 2 years we talked about. So maybe in a couple of years I'll take some downtime and relax. But right now I've got some work to do.
Absolutely, agreed. I'm the same way, my friend. Yes. And let's recall a time, some of the best advice you've received. Could be someone you trained with, could be family, friend, professionally, and how has that advice helped you to motivate others?
It's an easy question because it's the first thing that came to my mind, and it's ask questions.
Ah,
Always ask questions. Um, in everything. It doesn't matter if it's work, it doesn't matter if it's coaching, it doesn't matter if it's like anything. If you don't know something, ask somebody. If you don't feel confident in, the knowledge that you have, ask someone that knows a little bit more than you. If you're following somebody that inspires you and you want to be like them and they're successful with their business and they're successful with their clients and you're curious how they're doing that, hey, how are you so successful? Like, what did you do that is making you different than everybody else? And that was something I was scared of when I was younger. I never asked questions. Someone told me to do something, okay, I'll do it. And to this day, my coach, if he tells me to do something, I'll do it. But if it's something that I really need a deeper answer to, and it's something that I want to know more about, I'll always ask a question. And I think it may seem super simple and super, obvious, but a lot of people will go about doing things without asking why. And, it's helped me immensely trying to figure out the reasons for doing things rather than just doing them and going about my day.
yeah. Now we're going to finish off with the seven questions under a minute. And get ready. Who takes longer in the bathroom, yourself or your significant other?
Oh, me, without a
doubt. Why did I know you were going to say it was you? That's great. Kayaking or jet skiing?
Yeah, that's me. That's for sure me. I can't even fight. Yeah, absolutely.
Kayaking and jet skiing, or jet skiing?
Absolutely, jet skiing, yeah.
Okay. Least favorite exercise, but you have to do it.
Oh, I got a minute? Least favorite exercise, but I know I have to do it. I mean, you don't have to do any exercise, to be honest, but pendulum squat, because my coach makes me do it. Okay. But honestly, what I'll say right now, because this has helped me immensely, it's not an exercise, but the balance beam. It's actually helped me not only with my neural pathways, but with just connecting to my body, being present in the moment. That's not something I think everybody should do, but it's something that I've come to terms with. I need to do that every day. So yeah, for sure.
Someone you find inspiring who you would like to have a conversation with in life that you haven't yet?
He was in the conversation, but he was here, Ammer. I've had a conversation with him, but I'd probably give my left arm to sit down with the guy for a couple hours and pick his brain.
Awesome. Food you need to consume more of?
Just in general? Food you need to consume more of? Easy. It's not really food, but micronutrients. I know for a fact I'll make it easier. Fruit. People need to consume fruit and vegetables. I know for a fact people do not get enough fruits and veggies in on their daily diets. And that's a huge thing for so many reasons. Not only macronutrients or micronutrients, but also just, get some veggies in, guys. Get some fruit in. If you're going to get some carbs in, get some natural fresh fruit. It's tons of benefits. Yeah.
Nice. Your ultimate goal as a train, fit, motive coach?
Help change as many lives as I can and teach them the proper ways of living a sustainable, healthy lifestyle.
Last question, will you be back on Rosenthorn Talk?
Absolutely. You give me an invitation and I'm here, my friend.
I had you on the show for many reasons, not just because we've crossed paths in life before and continue to, but it speaks to your character. And especially with dealing with people's health and wellness, I need someone on the program, on the show, to explain their vulnerabilities, which is huge, and explain their successes as well and show those stages that it's not everything is what it seems. There's always a backstory to everything. It's just about what you
Absolutely.
say, well, asking questions. That's the only way we're going to find things out, right?
Mm.
My pleasure
And
having you on the show, my friend.
honestly, it was an absolute pleasure. Like we hit it off when we were working together at RBC and we created that relationship. And thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Just getting the word out to as many people as we can. And like I said, Aaron, anytime you want to do this again in a year, 2 years, I'd be more than happy to sit down and we can see if my answers to some of the questions are the same or maybe they changed. We'll see why.
And that's the whole reason of the approach of having guests back. You said it best yourself. Before we leave, any shout outs?
Yes, my girlfriend Gabby. Got to give a shout out to my girlfriend Gabby. And then I'm going to give one more shout out to my boss, Shane Baskin, because the man is killing it. And then my coach, Jay Stevens, because you're turning my body into something it's never been turned into, and you're the best.
Right on. Where can people find more information on yourself, your trials and tribulations and successes, your goal setting, your train fit motive? Where can we all find that?
Absolutely. So you guys can click on my name at the top. I believe it's there. My Instagram name is jaycoop, so JAYCOOPZ. You can reach our website for Train Fit Motive at www.trainfitmotive.com. And if you guys have any questions, you can either DM me or send me an email at josh@trainfitmotive.com.
Amazing. Josh, again, thank you. Thank you for the audience who's always watching. I love all of you. It's a pleasure to see my journey with this and bring such diverse guests with diverse careers and amazing stories so that we can all learn, because that's the whole point. So, Josh, you and I will talk soon. Everybody stay
Absolutely.
tuned for Rosenthorn Talk episode 10 will be tomorrow afternoon on Canada Day. Canada Day is an amazing day. So, Josh, happy Canada Day. Yes.
You as well.
And you and I will talk soon. Thank you again. And everybody have a great night.
We'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Cheers.
Later.
Later.